What did we just see? We'll talk about it. It's nuts.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On UConn your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Before we dive into this debacle, we wanted to take a moment to say how thankful we are for all of you for listening. We appreciate your support. We're proud to say we're the only daily podcast covering the UConn men's and women's basketball programs, the hoops capital of the world. And we're thrilled to bring you the coverage you deserve. And we're obviously giving back to our community. We had 10% going to Husky Ticket Project. If this game was played in Hartford, I would give all of those kids from Husky Ticket Project like free McDonald's, Chick-fil-A for witnessing an awful, awful performance by this team. I know they're there to have fun, but man, I didn't have a lot of fun watching that game. It's probably for the first time this year I was locked in. I'm on two screens here in front of my computer. I have this huge like new monitor that I've been watching games on. I diverted attention for most of the second half while we were doing this to essentially not watch the game that was making me want to throw up in my mouth. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $100, $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That was a collapse for the ages. I totally get, the platitudes of it's the Big East and, it's road games are tough. I really was ready to chalk this up to, weird shit happens in Newark with Dan not having a win against his alma mater, losing, games there when we didn't have Donovan, like all this different stuff. But this team, minus Haas being injured and playing hurt, was perfectly fine. They blew leads late. That's the issue. It's like up 7 with it was like 35 seconds or 50 seconds to go, and then up 5 in overtime. I think our friend Evan Miyakawa posted with one of those emojis of like, holy, what do we just witness, with them having a 98.9% chance of winning and then it completely going the opposite direction. Like, I just don't. That's one of those where you're just like, I don't have a lot of words for it. And I'm gonna hopefully you guys come on and carry this show because I don't want to talk about it that long. To be honest with you. All right, let's get Dan in here, and then I got Zach in the green room waiting to get on. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, how are you? Tough one
How are
today.
you?
I don't know what I really just watched. That was probably one of the most frustrating UConn basketball games I think I can remember watching in all my years. Just a devastating collapse out of nowhere. Like they had the lead for majority of the overtime period, and they just give it away. Sloppy play, lazy play with the ball, more poor inbounds play, which just has become baffling this season. It's every game now. We know this roster's smaller, but it's just no excuse. Like, I don't know why. I'm not going to blame it on Solo Ball there. I thought he got fouled. I'm not going to complain about it, but they don't dribble the ball. Just hold the ball. Get to the free throw line.
I'll do it for you. There should have been a foul called, and Dan went right at the ref at the end of the game. Look, bad shit happens when you allow the game to go on longer than it needs to. But at the same time, if you're going to call fouls like with that guy that – think about how crazy the ending was. A guy who shoots 25% from 3 banked in 2 shots.
Seton Hall had 9 assists today. Like, did not have much working on offense.
Then – the end of the game, we finally, I don't care what we did. I don't know if we did run and shoot offense where we had all these guys going in different directions.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that worked. You got open, and then you basically take one dribble, you get your arm hacked, and they don't call it. It's right in front of that idiot O'Connor. It's like, guys, come on, man. Like, that's my biggest issue. It's like, that's not the reason they lost. But if you take the singular moment of if they get a foul called there, they likely win that game. And that's the difference between now us being a 6 or a 4 seed and being like a freaking 8 or a 10. Because some a-hole ref was like, you know what? Tough. Got to be strong with the ball. It's like, no, call the freaking foul. Dude, you've been calling them all game. It's a joke. That's the joke of it all. I'm sorry. You just can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, the refs didn't call enough fouls. But then you can't say, well, we can't blame it on the refs when you had an egregious call right in front of you at the end of the game that led to the game-winning bucket.
The foul calls are even today, 15 apiece for either team. UConn turns the ball over 16 times. The Seton Hall's 9. Seton Hall has 8 steals, 4 blocks. They only have 9 assists. Like, they didn't have much offense working against this UConn defense, and UConn just coughed it up. Like, they gave the ball away. They shoot 37% from the field, 31% from 3. They win the rebounding battle, which they're getting better at. It's like they take 1 step forward and then 2 steps back. The inbounding plays today were absolutely egregious. Dan Hurley needs to make these guys. I had a text from some buddies after the game. This team should walk home from Newark and working on inbounds plays the entire way, because I don't know what it is. I know the personnel's smaller on the court, but like, to not be able to consistently just get the ball inbounds, it's awful. And then you see it's like a Madden play. They run 4 streaks on the inbounds to close out the game on that last play, and Solo gets the ball. They finally get the ball, and then he starts dribbling for whatever reason. He coughs it up, and they just get a wild tip play to end the game. But awful loss. You can't have this happen. Like, we previewed the remaining schedule the rest of the way, 7 games. It looked like after last game, after that, the rest of the team plays poorly, and Liam McNeely carries them. I'm feeling great coming into this one. You get a great win in Omaha coming out. You get home from Creighton, and then you just lay an egg. You hear Hurley in the huddle saying, "This is our Super Bowl today. Wake the hell up!" Well, I don't know why it's always at the Prudential Center in Newark where this team just lays an egg and comes out flat. But wake the hell up! Your season is on the line, and you just lay an egg against the worst effing team in the conference. 11th out of 11th in the Big East standings. Wake up! Zach, how are you?
I'm good. I was going to start with the good, but you kind of led me right into that. And I've been saying for a while now to my buddies that I think we have a little bit of a coaching problem with this team, because it's not just the inbound plays. It's constant. We just can't draw a play ever. End of shot clocks, end of games. There's just nothing. It's just ugly all the time. And to me, that falls on the coach. The turnovers fall on the coach. It's just the lack of discipline at points with our bigs. That's on the coach. And Hurley gets a pass. He's won us 2 national titles, but at some point we got to talk about coaching. The good, I was going to say, it's nice to see Karaban finally wake up and show up to a basketball game, but that's about the only good thing.
He got to go in today. There was plenty of other things that you can complain about on the court.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but we can't. I can't let that one go without commenting. I don't. You can blame the coaching on these inbound plays, but they're playing. The one thing you can blame coaching on, and I'll give you one pass at this one, which is the roster construction. You can absolutely blame that on Dan and Kamani and Luke, because they thought they had the pieces to make another run at this. And guess what? It's still February, as John Rothstein pointed out today in a pregame. These top 16 seeds were put out. In 2023, we weren't in the top 16 seeds, and we won a national championship. So there's still time in our world that we can potentially make a run. Games like this make you think it's not possible. However, I just don't want us to be prisoners of the moment and start saying, well, it's now all of a sudden it's Dan Hurley's fault. It's not. He is literally doing everything. You can lead a horse to water. If it doesn't drink, that's not on you. And I am fully, listen, I don't care what sport it is. You can put your players in a great position every single time. If they don't do what's necessary, that's not on you. I don't agree with that.
I'll give you credit there. Our sophomores haven't taken the jump that we've needed them to. Stewie and Ross just haven't stepped up. Aside from Solo, he's the only one who looks like he's elevated his game from last year. But the lack of ability to score on a set play, to me, I think the coach has his roster. He's got to find something that works with the roster that he has.
Yeah, I mean, what if you're not capable? Then and he's been literally telling us that for like a month.
Yeah, you got to read through the tea leaves on some of these early quotes. Yeah,
he's been saying in press conferences like, maybe we made a mistake with some of our roster construction, and that's on us. He's literally said that in press conferences. He's also said things like, we need guys to step up when things don't go well off script. Today it was Alex who had a big game today, and Liam was a little bit better in the second half when they needed him most. He didn't play as well as he did against Creighton, but that was like a God game. So whatever, right? So who else is going to step up? Solo played okay today. You have a gimpy Haas. You have the centers right now are giving us nothing when they gave us everything earlier in the year. That just scares Zach away. I just feel like for me, like there's legitimate problems with this team, but then to say that we're that it's coaching this, that, and the other thing, I think that's absurd. It's
the coaching won in the game, along with Liam McNeely having a godlike performance, like you said. The coaching and the scouting in that game won them that basketball game. I'm not blaming this law. This is a motivational issue at some points. Like, the players need to wake the hell up. It's what Hurley said in the huddle. How does the rest of the team? What did he say? I wrote it down. Can we get the group to match Hassan's level of desperation? Why is there only one guy in the court that has some want to? Like a fifth-year senior that's hobbled. He shouldn't be the one playing the hardest. And again, some of this, like, the ball didn't go in the hoop today, but it was just a weird game. The Prudential Center, for whatever reason, like, those games are just weird. Some old Biggie's energy in the air. I don't know what it is, but Shaheen Holloway, I don't know if Shaheen has Danny's number, apparently, old school teammates, but what? I thought Karaban, this was a good comeback game. He shoots 7 of 14 from the field. Like, I think he's even he didn't shoot the ball like incredibly from three, but I thought he's doing everything else well, rebounding the ball, setting guys up, getting into the lane. McNeely had a rough game. He didn't shoot well, had 6 turnovers. Solo ball didn't shoot well. I think he was 3 of 14 today. 4 of 13. Not great. The ball didn't go in the hoop. I don't know. One of their worst field goal percentage games of the season. Too many turnovers again, 16. I don't know, just a weird game. They can't get the ball in bounds. It's you can chalk some of that up to coaching, I guess. But again, this whole season and some of the themes that we've seen over and over seem way more personnel based to me than anything else.
Yeah, it's 1,000% personnel based. It's also the thing that frustrates me is, like, we have the most bipolar fan base and schizophrenic fan base of all time. After the Creighton game, it was like, we're back, baby, and we're going to go on a run, and we're going to get a 4 seed. What's the ceiling? Is it a 3 seed? Is it a 2 seed? And now we're back to no. I'm serious, but then now we're back to.
I know. I don't blame the fans.
So
it's like this team is a roller coaster. So I think we can only react to how the team is playing, right? It's like, how do you expect me not to get up and get excited with our best player coming back and having a godlike performance in Omaha? Like, I'm going to get excited, and I wake up. I slept in this morning.
I'm talking about the
I get it.
The tone I'm seeing right now on Twitter and in the chat is essentially it ends up being a total 180 when we should look at this as what it was, which is we played like absolute just crap. Like, it was a dog shit performance. And so the team is mirroring the fan base, right? So I also feel like too, like, this narrative now that, like, because your buddy, what's his name, Jeff brought that up, but I'm also seeing it on Twitter too, that, like, Hurley hasn't coached well this year. It's like, I'm shocked. I'm shocked at that because they've had so many small losses.
I don't share that view. I just think they're either, I've said it a million times this season, they're either not taking the coaching or they are, and they're not capable of executing on it. That's the only two things that I see going on. And I trend towards the latter.
Yeah, I also feel like too, like, but I also feel like too, Husky fans as a general rule are a sky is falling group, or when we have a team like we had last year, we're puff our chest out and no one can beat us.
So it's been a little inconsistent this year. I mean, I don't blame the fans on feeling a certain way. We're a little spoiled after 2. Feel however you want, but don't be negative. Just keep supporting the team. But this team has just been a roller coaster all year long. Like, they've got a little bit of an injury bug. They can't seem to stay healthy. Freshmen that we thought were going to play haven't played. Aiden Mahaney hasn't been able to get it going at any point. So it's like portal misses. Then freshmen that we're hoping to elevate don't play. Solo Ball has a incredible sophomore leap. Then Jaden Ross and Jalen Stewart aren't really matching him in that regard. Up and down from Stewie, game in, game out, no consistency. Terrace has 25 rebounds in a game and then get fouls out the next game. It's like everything top to bottom on the roster has just been a little up and down and roller coastery the whole way. And I think the fans are just kind of mirroring what's going on the court, not being able to stay healthy. So yeah, it's just been an up and down year. We just got to ride it out. And, games like today don't help.
Yeah. I go back to the inbounding thing is very confusing because to me, we texted like off air talking about how I feel as if a part of this is they don't have like one elite athlete that can kind of like, maneuver around and give him the ball to like we had with Andre Jackson, like we had with Steph. Like, but even if Steph was a 6'1" point guard, he's getting the ball and he's not going to matter because it's his mentality, right?
He was mean.
Yeah. It's just, it is what it is. And like, I feel like sometimes when, Liam has the ball, like in a pressure situation with these kind of teams like Seton Hall, like who plays defense similar to St. John's, not as good, but similar style, where they're constantly in your grill. It's just a frustrating thing, dude. NIT bound, bro. Just like stop with the bullshit. All right, like honestly, man, like we're having a constructive conversation.
Credit to Shaheen Holloway too for getting those guys ready to play. Like their game plan was clearly take it to UConn, take it to the rack. They were, and it worked.
No, and here's the thing. I don't even think the NIT is a thing anymore. Isn't it the Crown or whatever it's called? But anyway, that's not the point. UConn is still an NCAA tournament team. So if you have plans to do something otherwise, feel free to go to the Crown. It's in Vegas. I'm sure you'd have a great time, but you're not going to watch UConn there.
If they lose 4 of the next 6, they might not be. But I still think they'll be okay. I didn't think they'd lose today either.
I know that, but like here's the thing. It's kind of like what we talked about with the Creighton game. It's like they were an underdog. They were a 4.5 point dog going into that game, and they ended up winning by 4. Right. So just when you think this team is dead, they're kind of like a zombie.
They need a reason to get up. I don't know why, but they do.
I don't know, man. Maybe my presence will help them. It didn't work last time, but when I come up against Villanova, I mean, if you're Kyle Neptune, I said this as a tweet, wouldn't you be pressing like immediately when the game starts?
Blood in the water. There is enough tape on this team to figure out what works and what doesn't against them. Like you take it to the rack, be physical, full court press them. They can't get the ball in bounds in high pressure situations. They panic with the ball in their hands. They cough it up. I thought that it's just that 4 streaks play that they ran on the inbound on the last inbound play. It's like, I can't believe they got into a situation where they felt that they had needed to go to that, but it worked. Right. And then Solo just dribbles the ball. We probably should just hold it and wait to get fouled, go to the free throw line. But I think this team, all of their problems stem from like personnel issues, like being smaller. They can't play as physical because they're not as big, and that leads into them panicking with the ball in their hands in full court press situations. All that happened today, and it was just like a perfect meld of crap that just ends in a loss.
I'm gonna respond to this. The reason why it is BS is because they are not going to the NIT. They just aren't. If they lose all of their games the rest of the way, they're probably not going to play another postseason game. So first off, that's one reason. Second off, if they play the way they have this whole year, which is back and forth, they likely beat Villanova. They'll probably lose one of the games either to St. John's or Marquette, and then they'll beat Seton Hall at home. So they'll have we'll have 9 or 10 losses going into the year. They'll be like a 10 seed and they'll be in the NCAA tournament. Guys, UConn is not missing the tournament. Okay, if they lose all of the games the rest of the way, 5 of 6, 4 of 6, possible, but not likely. So if you're an NIT bound guy, then I'll bet you as much as I bet the dude that Liam is going to stick around for the next year. Who wants to put another $1,000 on that? Come at me. I'm totally.
Hey,
totally
we made a joke after Liam's game that Cooper Flag. I made a joke that was completely joking. Cooper Flag was coming back to school. Then the Athletic article comes out yesterday that he might want to come back for a second year. I don't think that's happening, but it's like I can't get anything right this year, so don't listen to me.
Yeah, don't listen to us. Listen, if UConn plays these types of games, will it matter if they make the tournament because they'll lose in the first round? Like just think about just the thought process is I think they're going to make the tournament, no problem. I'm about 99% sure. But then when you watch a game like today, I get why people, I totally understand. I don't want people to think I'm like coming down on them for being like the sky is falling, because there were times in this game where like I'm yelling and screaming and I'm like, Mark, what are you doing? Like you're in your house, stop freaking out. I have to check myself. So I just want us to kind of look at this for what it was, which was a poorly played game against a mediocre competition. And, You got to. I give those Seton Hall kids a lot of credit. They played physical. They played the type of ball that UConn has struggled with all year, which is we're going to foul you, and they're not going to call it. And it's one of those things where, and I don't mean that to like shit on the refs. I'm saying like it's the same thread that's happened all year, which is like they're daring the refs to kind of call the fouls, and they're just not calling them, right? And they went right at UConn, and let's
not discount any of our callers, though. Let's entertain the conversation for some of the callers in this NIT conversation, because it's still in play. It absolutely is. I wouldn't say the NIT because they won't accept any invitation to that tournament, I can guarantee you. But if they do happen to miss a national tournament, like that's still possible. UConn, the issue that they're having this year is that they get up for these big games. They beat Marquette and they beat Creighton, 2 top 25 teams, and then they just have some stinkers against some really bad teams. These losses for UConn are starting to hurt way more than the wins help. Like that's their issue right now. You got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
Think about the Creighton win. That was like a 1 or 2 seed up. This is a 1 or 2 seed down. So if they're
probably more,
I don't know,
maybe more.
I mean, it's still a road. It's still a road. If that was at home, it'd be like
optically, it just looks really bad.
Oh, awful. But that doesn't matter because it comes down to like where like they're seated in the metrics. The metrics.
It does if you're on the bubble. It does if you're on the
bubble though. But they're not on the bubble. Oh, stop. I'm not going to enter. I'm not going to entertain that conversation. I don't, because they're not on the bubble.
Not yet.
You know, it's asinine to think that they literally have wins. They have more top 25 wins than some teams in the Big Ten, in the SEC, who are, Michigan State just lost 3 or 4. Do they look as bad? No, but could this team have just played out of their ass? Yes. Did UConn play poorly? 100%.
UConn is 3 games back in the Big East standings. They're 17-8. 8 losses with 6 to play. So if you split the rest of the way, you're at 11 losses going into the Big East tournament. Dicey, but I still think their remaining schedule is favorable. They just need to take care of business, unlike today.
Taking a quick break, doing an ad, and then I'll be back. We'll stay on for a little longer, talk about this really fun game we just watched. Coming up after the break. FanDuel. I love FanDuel. When the game tips off and the action is getting started, there's no better place to get in on than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With live betting, you can jump into the game at any time, whether you're backing a fourth quarter comeback or stacking a game day parlay. If you had UConn in a game day parlay, you're probably kicking yourself and or whatever. Right now, new FanDuel customers get $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. With every moment, make it more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA. We're back. Let's get in Silky here. I don't know. Talk some sense into us, bro. You there? Hey, man, we hear you. You got to unmute your mic. Going once, going twice. See ya.
Hung himself from a ceiling fan watching the highlights.
All right, let's this is a topic I wanted to discuss, and if anyone wants to jump in and talk about it, they're more than welcome to. Is this the worst regular season loss in Hurley's history?
It hurt. It's just the way it ended. It hurt bad.
Well, is this the worst one?
I don't know. I'll have to look through the box scores. It's up there just because of what it like. I'm not gonna say what it meant. Like, it's not the end of their season, but you just coming off of such a good win, a virtuoso performance
that's why it's the worst one.
Yeah, it's just like a total letdown. Like, what the hell? You had a week to prepare for this game, or 4 days, whatever. But not a home game. It's in a place where you got some weird losses the last few years. Alma mater. Can't seem to beat these guys. And they're just, Seton Hall has just been an embarrassment this year. Stories of just inability to land any NIL funds, like a reeling program.
Yeah.
In the dregs. They are worse than DePaul, guys. DePaul is better than this team this year. And you just lost in a heartbreaker where you couldn't seem to find any answers. You got outplayed.
Before I get Bernie in here, I'll ask this and then let Bernie kind of answer it and give his thoughts. And then OK is also in here too. Let's talk back. Let's circle back to the coaching stuff. Do you guys feel like I got some messages that Hurley's severe loyalty to his team is a gift and a curse, where he is being super loyal to guys like Sampson, guy like Haas, who is a warrior and played his ass off tonight, but he clearly was hobbled. A guy like Aiden, who he, wanted in the transfer portal, right? But he's clearly not been, the answer that they thought he was going to be. And you have guys that you recruited as freshmen in Ahmad Noel and Isaiah Abraham just kind of sitting on the bench watching all of this. I do see the thought process, and I know that Dan Hurley knows more about basketball than me, Dan, everybody in this chat combined. But we all do have eyes, and we all know the game. We all can see it. I just wonder if there's a part of that kind of fierce loyalty that has worked in the past, but sometimes, as he's shown, he has the ability to adapt. I don't know if he's adapted enough this year with his lineups, because even with Jay Ross, thinking about what we thought he was going to be, and thinking about what he actually is two different stories. And I don't know if that's something that if you guys want to discuss. I'm gonna bring in Bernie here.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think. I just think it's way too convenient to start picking apart the coaching when things don't.
I'm not picking apart the coaching. I'm asking. No, I know. I'm asking about his specific.
I think that they've tried certain things. They've tried going to certain things. Aiden Mahaney has had plenty of opportunities to announce himself in college basketball, like Dan Hurley says, and just hasn't done it. Oh, he has 2 shots. The last 2 games ago, when they lose, and he's got a wide open three, throws it into the corner, and they turn the ball over and they lose. He has 2 shots today, misses both. I don't know how many more opportunities I can give you. Aiden Mahaney or Ahmad Noel can't stay healthy. I can't help you. You're a freshman. It's hard enough to get minutes as a freshman and announce yourself and try to play over guys that are juniors that are getting paid a lot of money in NIL in the transfer portal. You're going to have to do more than above and beyond to get playing time over that guy just because of the politics at play to start. And then you get hurt. I can't help you there. If you're out for 6-7 games with a shoulder injury in practice, then you hurt your ankle. I'm not blaming Ahmad Noel for getting hurt. It sucks. Nothing you can do about it. But there's only so much I can do. Now we're into the back half of a Big East schedule. You want me to just give you the minutes after all that? It's you can't stay healthy. Aiden Mahaney can't make a shot. Alex Karaban's ice cold. Liam McNeely's hurt. All these things are at play. This has been a tough coaching season for these guys. New personnel, transfer portal guys, 2 of them. Some overlap at the center position. One guy does one thing well, the other guy does another thing well. Who do you give the minutes to? It's been a weird team. There's a lot of coaching stuff going on behind the scenes that we probably don't know about. So we can pick it apart all we want, but this is a weird year in a personnel wise on this roster. I think a tough one to kind of navigate for that coaching staff.
Bernie, before you say anything, I would say that my biggest thing is the idea that because and maybe one day I'll have the type of relationship I have with some guys that coach in college basketball with Dan and these guys, and they can tell me things off the record that I wouldn't tell you guys. But I've heard many stories from coaches where they just they say things in media that they don't mean. I know how authentic that Dan is, and I know he's gonna I know that he's going to back his players publicly. But you don't think that him, Luke, and Kamani are having private conversations about what the F is going on with this team? Mm-hmm. They have to, because I know that happens. It's not smart to not think that. They clearly all of the things that people are talking about and saying things about Aiden, things about Jay Ross, Terrace, Sampson, all of that. Those are all things they're talking about. And they probably are man, what are we going to do? And they probably are trying to figure out positive solutions this year. But if it ends up poorly, they're going to make some changes.
These guys do this. That's just the bottom line. These guys do this 24/7, 365. They only have some of these guys for 8 months, 18 months. So they start the season trying to figure out the roster. Then the first third of the season is testing guys out on the court. If that doesn't work, maybe try to go to something else. Then you get halfway through the season. It's okay, what we thought might be the lineup isn't going to be the lineup anymore. We're going to try to elevate some other guys in practice this week. You're going to get the start. Oh, you didn't play well. Back to the bench you go. And then they try to just trial and error, trying to figure different stuff out. Then you get 3/4 of the way through the season. All those questions you thought you had in the beginning of the season have changed. Now it's something else. And like you said, everything that they've thought of tinkering with, they've done now. There's no more questions. Like, you either get it done or you don't. You are who you are as a player on the court. Now it's just trying to put the right pieces in place to stack as many victories as you can to try to get into the tournament. Like, there's enough case study now. Like, they know who these guys are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Bernie. You've been waiting.
Yeah, I mean, what you both are going back and forth, it's very, very interesting to hear you both talk back and forth about what's going on with this team. I'll just say this. I don't necessarily get all the doom and gloom and the overall panic. And yes, I will admit it's a bad loss. And I yelled and screamed and I said the F word and everything else like that. But I think people, including fans like myself, should have lowered our expectations a little bit because, again, this is not last year's team that went 37-3. This is not the 2023 team that dominated the NCAA tournament. This is this year's team. This is what we have. And yeah, Danny didn't do a particularly good job in the portal. And, all the hate on Mahaney. Listen, Mahaney is one player. We can't keep on putting the hate on one particular player for all the problems for this team. Mahaney's been getting bashed repeatedly over and over again. And I agree. It would be great if he stepped up, and it would be great if he was that point guard so Diarra can take a break on the bench. But the thing is, Mahaney's not the problem with this team. The problem with this team is you can't shoot 29% from the field in the first half and expect you're going to win the game. You can't make 2 threes in the first half. You can't make stupid, dumb mistakes. You can't do that. If you can't inbound a basketball, that's a problem. They've had numerous times this year where they played close games and they can't inbound a basketball. They can't count to 5. They know they have 5 seconds to get that ball inbound. And if you can't inbound a basketball, that's a problem. And
Bernie, I'm not going to cut you off. Bernie, I don't want to cut you off, but I think you make some great points. This team is who it is. We're done complaining about who a guy is and who he isn't. We're not complaining about Aiden Mahaney and his level of play anymore. But like you said, the effort wasn't there. They played like crap. I'm just going to read off some Dan Hurley post-game quotes right here because he kind of alludes to this. I've never been involved in a game like this, says Dan Hurley after the game. Credit us for putting forth a regrettable performance. We were soft in the first half offensively. We were weak at the rim with our finishes. I felt like it was justice today because they deserved a win. We tried to turn it up the last 6 minutes of regulation, but we got what we deserved. They didn't bring it. They didn't bring it. Yeah, it has nothing to do with you are a good basketball player or not. You did not come to play today. Nope. They were asleep at the wheel in the first half, and it cost them the game.
This is the reason why I'm glad that Dan said that stuff, and because what it frees up for me is to say this to you guys and anyone that's in the chat, because I had a guy say that I need psychological help, and maybe I do. Maybe I'm a psycho. I don't know what to tell you. But what I will tell you is
you do.
The one thing, yeah, that I do,
or he does. I do too.
That I do. Well, you do too.
I do too.
But
I agree with Mark. No, I agree with Mark. I'm sorry. Excuse me, Mark. I'll just say this. I agree with Mark, though. I've been a fan for this team for over 40 years. And there have been a lot of times where this team frustrates me and irritates me and ticks me off. But then I see people go off saying, oh, they're terrible. Oh, they're horrible. They're this, they're that. And they got to realize something. Every year is a different year. It's not going to be the same team every single year. You're not going to get the same players that you got in 2024 and 2023.
Hold on a second. I'll let you make one last point after this, but and then we're going to get Joey in here and okay and stuff like that. But
sure.
The reason why I paused after what Dan said is because he basically just told you his team sucks. Like I just want you guys to all we've been saying this for, I don't know, like 2 months, that to read between the lines and like read the tea leaves of what he's been trying to say to you is that
he's saying they suck today.
But
Certainly.
he's saying, but he's saying that I've never been a part of a game like this. For Dan Hurley to say that, as much basketball as that dude's been around, is kind of an incredible quote, right? Yeah, they suck today, right? And I know, but I just feel like we need to understand that this coaching staff, as Dan has pointed out, it's 24/7, 365 days a year. They put their heart and souls into all of this. And so if some of the players aren't giving the effort that they feel is what's needed, then there's going to be major changes on this roster next year. And I trust them to get it right. That's all I'm going to say. This is like one of those things. College basketball is like your favorite baseball, football team year to year. They bring in free agents, and sometimes those free agents don't perform, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. Aiden Mahaney has not performed to the standard of UConn. Terrace Reed has been often, sometimes yes, sometimes no, right? Those are the two portal guys. The freshman, Liam, has performed at a high level when healthy, whereas Isaiah Abraham and Ahmad Noel, we don't know because they haven't really played, right? So everybody else, the sophomores, we can go by one. Solo has made a leap. Jalen has been inconsistent. Jay Ross has not been very good. Singari has been the same. Did I miss anybody? No? Alex has been like this, right? Haas has been like this. A lot of it has to do with injury. Samson, same thing. What does that tell you about this team? That they are an inconsistent bunch, and you shouldn't count on it. So
you've heard it. You heard it at the beginning of the season.
Not worry about
it. You've heard it from the coaching staff in the beginning of the season. These guys, it's every day. They bring it every day. You can't elevate yourself and rise to another level. We're gonna turn to someone else. That goes for the coaches and the on-court personnel. This is the big leagues. Every single time out, every single year, it's national championship or bust. That is the culture that's been instilled in this place. That's the culture that Dan Hurley took over. He's brought it to another level, no question. These guys get paid to play basketball now. Dan Hurley knows that the state of Connecticut knows he gets paid a lot to coach this basketball team. More than anyone else that's ever coached a team in Connecticut, he gets paid like 10x. He's very aware of it. That's why he brings it every single day. There's only so much I can do as a coach to prepare you to bring it on the court. And if it's an execution thing or a lack of talent thing, we're going to do everything in practice we can and film study to get you to the level we can to try to win another national championship. If the issue is your effort on the court, I can't do anything else for you. Yep. And I'm going to start calling you out in pressers and media availabilities and whatnot. And I just think that's some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. There's only so much I can do to prepare you for these moments. If you crap your pants when the time comes, that's on you.
That's perfect. Dan, you said it perfectly.
Last comment, because I got to get some guys in here. 30
okay,
seconds.
I'll just say two things. First thing, Dan, you said it perfectly. It reminds me of what Jim Calhoun, when he was head coach, when his team played bad, he didn't sugarcoat anything. He said what he said, and he made his team, and the team listened to him. And I think with Hurley saying what he's saying, I'm hoping that what he said tonight about what happened in the game, that his team suddenly gets that click going in their head and they start playing the way they should be playing. And he's right. The coach can only do so much. The players have to be the ones to step it up and respond. If only one player is being desperate enough to want to win the game and nobody else is doing that, it's a waste of air. They got to all be on the same gear. And oh boy,
Agreed.
Tuesday night.
Thanks for calling in, Bernie. We love you.
Yeah, Tuesday night. I can't wait for Tuesday night. Villanova, I will be there.
We'll see you there.
And there, like brother. I said, Mark, I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to meet you. Dan, are you going to be there?
I wasn't planning on going, but they might need all the support they can get.
Yeah, okay, Dan, you need to be there because they need some man in that game right now. Yeah. So
I'll see you there.
Love you guys. Love everybody in the chat. And like I said,
peace.
Next game up, we'll win.
Hopefully. Let's go. Joey, you there? No. Okay. You there? Man.
Unmute yourself, okay?
You guys got it.
Wake up! Wake up, everybody! Come on!
2 rings, Baldy. 2 rings, Baldy.
Hey, is this the therapy group for the UConn psychopaths?
Yes, this is the therapy group for
You've come to the right place.
Technical malfunction. Sorry about that. But like, hey, listen.
Wake up!
Wake up! Woo! Listen, hey, bad game. Nothing. Listen. Tough pill.
Usa.
Listen, the only good hand is the last 2 years we won the national championship. We did lose at Seton Hall. So, I mean, yes.
All silver lining.
All silver
Yeah,
lining.
we got you.
Hey,
We got you, buddy.
Like you said, Karaban got out of the slump. And if I could have texted Mark, I would have said he would have made those threes.
Well, today was
And what was
frustrating.
that?
I think biggest thing is
You can go. You can go, brother. You can go.
Talk to us, buddy. Go ahead. All right, I'm dropping okay because he's got technical difficulties.
Hey, Karaban getting out of the slump. It showed flashes, like you said. We said this team. It's effort. You can bring them to water, doesn't mean they're going to drink. They don't want to play nonstop energy. And you're seeing it at times, and they're making bad decisions. I mean, I don't know if this was a trap game because we had that big win, and they let them hang around. And they didn't have – it's a big factor this year is they don't know how to keep a lead and give it to kids. And we've seen that. And it is what it is. And we're going to be what we're going to be. The scariest part is I'm pretty sure it doesn't the Final Four run through the Prudential Center in Newark?
What'd you say?
Doesn't the NCAA tournament run through the Prudential
In Newark?
Newark. I think one of the regional games are in Newark.
I think so. I don't want to play there anymore.
Or we do want to play there and win. But hey. So yeah, it's gonna be what it is this year. And if they don't come the next couple of games are gonna define us. And if it gets that bad, we gotta make a run because is this team gonna win the Big East tournament? I don't know.
It's in Providence, I think. I don't think it's Newark.
No, I think the first couple games are Providence. So I'm pretty
First
sure
in Providence. Yeah, I think the dunk and then it's Newark.
If we're in the East, that's too.
That's I don't even think we're gonna get in the East Regional, to be honest with you.
I don't want to get ahead of my skis there.
Yeah, but I'm just foreshadowing, just thinking like that. But hey, there's no way. Also, to those stupid callers, unless we lose out, there's no way we're not making the tourney. It is. What it is.
The other thing too is like this is just part of it, and I need to learn this as time goes on because remember, this is like we're coming up on a year anniversary of the show. Someone crystallized it perfectly in the chat. There's so many rage baiters in the chat right now that are like posting stupid crap just to kind of get under my skin.
Welcome to the
Sometimes
trolls.
it works.
I've recognized a few of those names from Twitter. I know who you are. You rage clickbait, negativity, negative Nancy.
Hey,
cucks.
Haters gonna hate.
Stop it.
Let them.
I'm gonna read something from a high school coach of mine, and he's a huge UConn guy. He's got season tickets. This team is going to win 20 to 22 games this year, make the tournament, coming off back-to-back national championships with a top 3 recruiting class coming in. Anyone with a loser sentiment about this program is either 1, an asshole, 2, stupid, or 3, both. Get over it. Nova on Tuesday. Is that a good way to end the show?
100%.
I'm good with it.
100%. Future's bright for UConn.
Joey, am I going to see you on Tuesday?
Oh yeah, I'm there. I got 4 tickets. I'll be there.
All right. I gave away 2 to Colleen. I gave away 2 to 1 to Bernie and 1 to Mal and Earl are going to go. So I got 5 people going in my stead. So hopefully they'll rock it for me while I'm on the media deal.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Listen, great show. Terrible game. I just hope I don't. Hey, by the way, if there's snow in Connecticut, can it at least happen on Thursday?
Just started snowing right now.
So I can get back to North Carolina at some point. Like, so I don't have to text Joey from the airport and say, "Hey man, come scoop me up if this is a delay."
I'll bail you out.
Crashing on Joey's couch on Wednesday, just hanging out. Like, put me to work in the bail bonds deal. Hey, possible. We'll see. All right. What are the odds that Hurley is just tearing up whatever is left of that stupid visitors locker room? Before, just ripping.
You ever seen the pilot episode of Friday Night Lights on TV where Coach Eric Taylor makes Tim Riggins walk home in the rain?
Yes,
that's what I want this team doing on the way home from Newark. I want them in the snow working inbounds plays all the way back to stores.
I like it. I love it. All right, guys. This has been another episode of Locked On UConn. I'm your host, Mark Zanetto, asking you to stay locked in. If you're going to Villanova, If you're going to that game in Hartford, make sure I hear you because I can't scream from the media row. So be my voice. Get after it. I'm not even going to play the GOAT outro. I'm not going to play Chris Smith. I'm doing regular outro because we don't deserve that Go Huskies laugh that he
Hey,
gives
shouts
us.
out Andre Johnson and Steph Castle in tonight's dunk contest, by the way.
Ooh, I got Ajax, by the way, plus 600.
As do I. I want to see a UConn jersey on the court tonight.
Yeah.
Got to represent.
All right, go watch the slam dunk contest and do something fun. Peace.
Go Huskies.